Does your home sometimes feel heavier than you? You walk in, see a pile of mail, shoes scattered, and suddenly the whole space feels messy even if it's just a few things out of place. You're not alone. This is one of the biggest struggles for seniors I work with every week. The good news, you don't need endless energy or full cleaning days to keep a tidy home. Today at TheSeniorNest, I'll share 10 simple secrets that make your home calmer, safer, and easier to enjoy. And I promise, if you stay with me, you'll discover the one secret that finally stops clutter from coming back. Let's start with the first secret, the 5 things principle. Here's the truth. When you enter a room, your eyes only notice a few items. That's why even 2 or 3 things out of place can make your whole living room feel messy. So instead of overwhelming yourself with, "I have to clean the entire house," try this each time you walk into a room. Put away just 5 items, only 5. Margaret, a grandmother from Ohio, told me she started this habit every evening before bed. In less than a week, her living room looked completely different. Her granddaughter even asked, "Grandma, did someone come to clean?" That's the power of 5 small actions. Now let's move to the second secret, the one-touch rule, which can save you hours every week. Tip 1, the 5 things principle. When we walk into a room, our eyes don't actually notice every single detail. Instead, they focus on just a handful of objects that stand out. That's why even a mostly clean room can feel messy if a few things are out of place. The 5 things principle takes advantage of this truth. Rather than overwhelming yourself with the idea of cleaning the entire space, you simply pick up 5 items, the 5 things most visible and distracting, and return them to where they belong. For older adults, this approach is especially powerful because it doesn't demand long hours of cleaning or heavy lifting. It turns organization into a simple 2-minute task. Each time you step into a room, pause for a moment, notice the 5 objects that catch your eye and put them away. That's it. No guilt about what you didn't finish, no pressure to do it all. Just 5 items, no more, no less. The benefits are immediate and lasting. Visually, the room feels calmer, because those few messy spots that made the whole space look chaotic are gone. Physically, it reduces strain. You're not pushing yourself into exhausting cleaning sessions. Psychologically, it creates a sense of control and accomplishment. Many seniors have told me that this one small habit gave them back confidence. Even with limited energy, they felt capable of maintaining a welcoming home. I think of Mrs. Thompson, a 78-year-old grandmother from Ohio. Every evening before bed, she made it a point to put away just 5 items in her living room, often a pair of shoes, a magazine, a blanket, some glasses, and the TV remote. After just 1 week, her grandchildren asked in surprise, "Grandma, did someone come to clean?" The space felt transformed, not because she worked harder, but because she worked smarter. The deeper lesson is this. The 5 things principle is not really about cleaning, it's about mindset. It teaches us to break down the overwhelming into the manageable, to see progress in small steps. For seniors, that means turning your home into a place of peace instead of stress. 5 little actions each day may seem small, but over time they build a habit of calm. And when your space feels calm, your spirit does too. Tip 2, the one-touch rule. Think about this for a moment. How many times have you walked through the door after a long day and placed your bag on the couch, dropped your keys on the counter, set the mail on the table, and left your shoes by the chair? In less than a minute, 4 new clutter spots have appeared, and yet you didn't mean to create a mess. This is the silent way clutter sneaks into our homes little by little until the entire space feels out of control. The one-touch rule solves this problem with one simple idea. When you touch an item, put it away immediately in its final home the very first time. Don't lay it down just for now, because later rarely comes. For seniors, this habit is especially powerful. It prevents clutter from building up in the first place, so there's never a mountain to clean later. It saves energy, time, and frustration. Applying this rule doesn't require perfection, it only requires consistency. When you come in with your coat, hang it in the closet right away instead of tossing it over a chair. When you finish with your reading glasses, place them in their case rather than leaving them on the nightstand. When the mail comes in, sort it into its folder instead of scattering it across the dining table. Each of these small acts takes only seconds, but together they completely change the way your home feels. John, a retired teacher in Florida, told me this principle freed up his weekends. Before, every Saturday morning he spent hours picking up little piles of things to deal with later: papers, books, laundry, tools. Once he began following the one-touch rule, the piles never formed. His words were simple: "Now my Saturdays are mine again. I spend them with my grandchildren, not with clutter." The beauty of this principle is that it doesn't just keep your home tidy, it gives you back your time and your peace of mind. You no longer waste hours searching for lost items because everything is always where it should be. And more importantly, you begin to trust yourself again. One action, one touch, and the job is done. For seniors, that sense of order and independence is priceless. Tip 3: the empty box method. Have you ever opened a drawer, a closet, or even just a kitchen shelf and felt overwhelmed because it was stuffed with things you barely used, but couldn't decide what to remove? This is where most people get stuck. Our brains resist letting go, so we keep adding more until the space feels suffocating. The empty box method turns this struggle upside down, and that's why it works so well. Instead of asking, "What should I throw away?" which is hard for anyone, especially seniors with decades of memories, you begin by removing everything. Completely empty the drawer, the shelf, or even an entire closet. Now for a moment, enjoy that clear, clean space. From this blank starting point, only return the items you truly use and need. The rest can be placed somewhere more appropriate, donated, or gently released. This way, the focus is on choosing what deserves to stay, not on the pain of deciding what to discard. I once helped my Aunt Margaret with her kitchen utensil drawer. She had collected over 40 gadgets over the years, many of them gifts or duplicates. We emptied the drawer entirely, cleaned it, and then she selected only the 15 she used every week. The transformation was immediate. She told me, "For the first time in years, I don't dread opening this drawer. I actually enjoy cooking again." That sense of ease came not from buying something new, but from removing what no longer served her. For seniors, the empty box method is liberating. It turns organizing into a positive act of keeping what matters most, instead of a stressful act of losing things. It makes daily life smoother. You can finally find what you need without digging through clutter. And perhaps most importantly, it creates breathing space both physically and emotionally. Every empty space you reclaim whispers, "Here you can rest, here you can breathe." Tip 4: the 15-minute technique. How many times have you promised yourself, "One day, I'll set aside a whole afternoon to clean this house," but that day never seems to come? The truth is, waiting for the perfect time to do a big clean only makes the clutter grow and the task feel heavier. For many seniors, the thought of hours of housework is exhausting before it even begins. That's why the 15-minute technique is a game changer. The idea is simple. Instead of trying to conquer the whole house, you give yourself just 15 minutes each day. Set a timer. Choose one small space, a drawer, a shelf, a nightstand, and work only until the timer rings. Then stop. You don't need to finish everything. The power comes from consistency, not from intensity. In just 15 minutes a day, you gain steady progress without the overwhelm. I remember Robert, a retired engineer from Texas. He always felt defeated by his messy garage. Week after week, he told himself he'd clean it when he had the energy. Of course, that day never came. When he tried the 15-minute technique, everything changed. Each morning after breakfast, he set a timer and tackled just one corner. Sometimes it was a shelf of tools, sometimes just a pile of boxes. Within a month, his garage felt completely different, not because he gave up a weekend, but because he invested a quarter of an hour each day. His exact words were, For the first time, I see progress and I don't feel drained. For older adults, this method has another hidden gift. It removes procrastination. Anyone can give 15 minutes, and when you add up those minutes, they turn into hours of real improvement over weeks and months. More importantly, it restores your sense of control. You no longer carry the burden of someday. Instead, you create a rhythm where your home steadily grows lighter day by day. And that rhythm brings peace not just to your space, but to your heart. Tip 5. The defined zone system. Have you ever stood in the middle of your living room holding something in your hand and thought, where does this even go? That tiny moment of hesitation is exactly how clutter begins. When items don't have a clear home, they drift across the house, glasses on the table, papers on the couch, pills on the counter, until the whole space feels scattered. For many seniors, this is one of the biggest frustrations, not the cleaning itself, but the endless guessing game of where things belong. The defined zone system puts an end to that confusion. It simply means giving every category of items a permanent place and being specific about it. All medications in one cabinet, all mail in a single tray, all remote controls in one basket. By creating these zones, you eliminate the mental load of decision-making. The next time you pick something up, you already know where it goes. I worked with a couple in their 70s, Mr. and Mrs. Allen, who used to argue almost daily over misplaced items. He could never find his glasses, and she was always frustrated by piles of mail. Together, we set up a small command center near the kitchen. One box for mail, one for bills, one for important documents. We placed a tray by the door for keys and glasses. Within 2 weeks, the arguments stopped, not because they became different people, but because their home finally supported their habits instead of fighting against them. For seniors, the zone system offers more than organization. It brings peace of mind. You save time searching, you reduce stress, and you create an environment where routines feel natural instead of forced. And there's another hidden gift. When each zone starts to overflow, it's a gentle signal that you own too much of that category. That awareness helps you let go of the excess before it becomes overwhelming again. In the end, the defined zone system is not about rules, it's about freedom. Freedom from wasted time, freedom from frustration, and freedom to enjoy your home as a place of calm rather than chaos. And when every item has a home, you can finally relax in yours. Tip 6. The 3-second technique. How many times have you noticed something out of place and thought, I'll take care of that later? A blanket on the couch, a cup on the table, a pair of shoes by the door. The problem is that later rarely comes. Instead, those small things pile up until the entire room feels overwhelming. For many seniors, this cycle is exhausting. Tiny tasks quietly grow into hours of work. The 3-second technique breaks that cycle with one simple rule. If you can put something away in less than 3 seconds, do it immediately. No postponing, no stacking, no I'll get to it later. A pen goes straight back in the drawer. A towel gets hung the moment you notice it. A teacup is carried to the sink right away. Each action is so small you barely notice it, but together they prevent clutter from ever taking root. I think of Linda, a retired teacher from Oregon. She told me her living room used to feel like a battle zone of little messes, pillows, books, cups, papers everywhere. When she began practicing the 3-second technique, she was surprised at how quickly her habits shifted. Within 2 weeks, she no longer had to dedicate Saturdays to tidying up because nothing ever built up. She laughed and said, "It feels like my house cleans itself now, one tiny action at a time." For older adults, this method carries another gift. It trains the brain to prefer action over delay. After just a few weeks, it becomes automatic. You don't argue with yourself, you just do it. That means less mental stress, less procrastination, and more energy for the things that truly matter. The beauty of the 3-second technique is not in the seconds themselves, but in the peace they create. A blanket folded today is a restful evening tomorrow. A cup put away now is a kitchen that welcomes you later. With this small habit, your home transforms from a place that demands constant effort into one that quietly supports your peace of mind. Tip 7: The entry and exit principle. Have you ever noticed how easy it is for new things to enter your home, but how rarely something leaves? A new shirt from the store, another book as a gift, a kitchen gadget on sale. Each item feels harmless on its own, but over time the space gets tighter, the shelves heavier, and the home harder to manage. For seniors, this steady buildup can turn once comfortable rooms into overwhelming places. The entry and exit principle is the simple solution. For every new item that comes in, let one old item go out. One in, one out. Buy a new sweater, choose an old one to donate. Bring home a new book, pass along when you've finished. Add a new mug to the cupboard, remove the chipped one you no longer use. This principle keeps your belongings in balance and stops clutter before it even begins. I remember visiting the Peterson family in California. They placed a small donation box right by their front door. Whenever something new entered the house, they immediately asked, "What leaves?" At the end of each month, they dropped off the box at a local charity. Over time, not only did their home grow lighter, but so did their hearts. They told me they felt joy knowing their unused items were helping others. For older adults, the benefits of this principle go far beyond tidiness. It encourages conscious living, pausing to ask, "Do I truly need this? Does it add value to my life?" It helps maintain a manageable home, easier to clean and safer to move through, and it creates a natural rhythm of generosity, turning clutter into kindness. The deeper meaning of the entry and exit principle is this: our homes are not meant to be storage units. They are meant to be living spaces, places of rest and connection. By balancing what comes in with what goes out, you ensure your home stays spacious enough not just for your belongings, but for your peace, your safety, and your joy. Tip 8: The full turn technique. Have you ever opened a closet or a drawer and realized there are items you haven't touched in years, buried behind the ones you always grab first? It happens so easily. Fresh towels get stacked on top of old ones, new cans of food are placed in front of the pantry, and soon the older items are forgotten, fading away at the back. For seniors, this not only creates clutter but also wastes precious space and money. The full turn technique offers a simple fix. Every time you put something away, place it behind or beneath the older items. That way, the things you already own get used before they expire, wear out, or lose purpose. Clean towels go to the bottom of the stack. New groceries go to the back of the shelf. Toiletries are rotated so the oldest are always within reach. By doing this, nothing gets lost in the shadows of your home. I once worked with Helen, a homemaker in her 70s. Her linen closet was overflowing with towels, yet she always grabbed the same two from the top of the pile. We reorganized using the full turn technique. Newly washed towels went to the bottom, and she started pulling from the top. Within a few months, she realized half of her towels were thin and worn, ones she had never used in years. She decided to donate some and keep only the ones she truly enjoyed. She smiled and said, "Now I feel like every towel in my closet is serving me, not just sitting there." For seniors, this method carries a deeper benefit. It helps you stay mindful of what you already have, preventing unnecessary purchases and making daily life smoother. It also reveals which items no longer serve you. If after a full rotation you still haven't used something, that's a clear sign it may be time to let it go. The full turn technique is more than just rotation. It's about fairness, giving every item in your home a chance to fulfill its purpose. And in return, it gives you a home that feels lighter, more intentional, and free from hidden clutter. When everything is in use, nothing is wasted, and your space reflects balance and care. Tip 9: The 5 Whys method. Have you ever noticed how the same spot in your home seems to get messy again and again, no matter how often you tidy it? Maybe it's the entryway where shoes pile up, or the dining table that always ends up covered in papers. For many seniors, this cycle feels discouraging. You clean, it looks good for a day, and then the clutter creeps right back. The truth is, the problem isn't always the mess itself. It's the hidden reason behind it. That's where the 5 whys method comes in. The idea is simple. When an area of your home repeatedly gets cluttered, don't just clean it, ask yourself why 5 times. Each answer digs deeper until you uncover the root cause. For example, why is the entryway messy? Because shoes are left on the floor. Why? Because there's no rack to hold them. Why no rack? Because we never bought one. Why didn't we buy one? Because we thought we didn't have space. Why do we think that? Because we never measured or tried. Suddenly, the real issue isn't messy shoes, it's the lack of a storage system. Solve that and the mess stops returning. I worked with the Anderson family who were frustrated that their dining table was always buried under mail. Week after week, no matter how often they cleared it, the papers came back. We applied the 5 whys. Why are papers on the table? Because that's where they drop the mail. Why there? Because they didn't have another place. Why not? Because they never set one up. The solution was simple. We created a small mail station with folders in the kitchen. Within weeks, their table stayed clear, not because they worked harder, but because they solved the real problem. For older adults, this method is powerful because it removes the endless cycle of recleaning. Instead of feeling like clutter is inevitable, you realize it has a cause, and every cause has a solution. It also creates a sense of relief. The home is no longer working against you, but with you. The deeper meaning of the 5 whys is that it teaches us to look beyond the surface. It's not just about a tidy table or a clear floor. It's about creating systems that respect your habits, your needs, and your energy. When you understand why clutter appears, you can design a home that feels supportive, not demanding. And that turns your living space into a place of lasting peace. Tip 10. The Invisible Minute Strategy at TheSeniorNest. We believe home organization is not about a spotless house. It's about a peaceful spirit. These 10 secrets are not chores, they are habits of kindness you show to yourself every day. Start with one, let it become part of you, then add another. Over time, you won't just have a cleaner home, you'll have a lighter heart, a safer space, and a life with room for joy. How often have you told yourself, I just don't have time to keep the house tidy? For many seniors, energy is limited, days feel short, and organizing easily slips to the bottom of the list. But here's the truth, you may already have more time than you realize, it's just hidden in the small pauses of your day. The Invisible Minute Strategy is about capturing those moments. Think about the minutes while waiting for the kettle to boil, or during a TV commercial, or when you're on hold during a phone call. These are invisible minutes we often overlook. Yet in those tiny windows, you can fold a blanket, clear a counter, sort today's mail, or put dishes back in the cupboard. None of these tasks take long, but together they create remarkable progress. Take the example of Susan, a grandmother from North Carolina. She used to feel that keeping her home neat was impossible with her 2 young grandchildren always around. But once she started using invisible minutes, everything changed. While waiting for oatmeal to cook, she organized a kitchen drawer. During commercials, she gathered toys into a basket. By the end of the week, she realized she had spent over an hour decluttering without ever setting aside cleaning time. She laughed and said, I never thought I could fit organization into my life, but it fits perfectly into the cracks of my day. For older adults, this technique has a unique gift. It eliminates the pressure of big tasks. You no longer feel guilty for not dedicating hours to cleaning because you're already using your day wisely. These small victories build confidence and keep clutter from growing out of control. Even more, they transform waiting time from wasted moments into opportunities for peace. The deeper lesson of the Invisible Minute Strategy is simple but powerful. Order doesn't always come from grand efforts. Sometimes it comes quietly in the margins of our day, through small acts of care. By embracing invisible minutes, you turn ordinary pauses into stepping stones toward a calmer home. And that calm follows you not just through your rooms but into your heart.